Hi, Taehyung lovers all around the world. Welcome back to the Taehyung Lovers Worldwide channel, a channel that always stands on the front line spreading the kindness, influence, and peaceful aura of Kim Taehyung to every corner of the world. But today, pause for a moment, just 3 seconds. Don't scroll, don't blink, because February 2026 did not arrive carrying cheap sensations or fabricated news. It came with a small story that somehow feels far too big to ignore, a quiet moment that made millions of people across different parts of the world stop for a second and ask, with a mix of wonder and emotion, how is it possible for someone to be loved this deeply through just one simple action that was almost silent? If you think this story was born from a grand stage, a stadium full of cheers, or a $1 million exclusive interview, you are mistaken. The answer emerged from a place almost never highlighted by global media, and it is precisely there that Kim Taehyung once again reshaped the way the world views fame, empathy, and the meaning of being human. So make sure you watch until the end, because this one moment is not just a story, it is a mirror. And before continuing, don't forget to leave a comment, subscribe, activate the notification bell, and make this video go viral, so the world can always see that Kim Taehyung's kindness is real and worthy of being witnessed by everyone. Because February 2026 did not arrive carrying cheap sensations or fabricated news. It came with a small story that somehow feels far too big to ignore. A story that made millions of people across the world stop for a moment and ask, with a mix of wonder and emotion, how is it possible for someone to be loved by the world this deeply through just one simple action that was almost silent? The answer to that question did not come from a $1 million concert stage, was not born in a stadium full of cheers, and was not delivered through a neatly packaged exclusive interview by a PR team. Instead, the answer appeared far from luxury, from a small space that almost never enters the radar of global media, a simple cake shop. It was there that Kim Taehyung once again showed that fame is not merely about popularity, but about meaning. This story was first shared by an army who that day was living life as usual. There was no special agenda, no expectation of meeting an idol, no big dream carried into the workplace, just routine, long working hours, and a very human exhaustion until the shop door opened, and Kim Taehyung walked in as an ordinary customer, without a striking entourage, without camera flashes, without the excessive aura often attached to the figure of his stature. In that small room, a brief silence occurred that is difficult to explain. Within seconds, Taehyung realized something that was not written on a work uniform, not spoken through words, yet felt clearly on an emotional level. Standing in front of him was an army, not because of screams or hysterical behavior, but because of the language of feeling. The way someone tries to hold back nervousness, the way their eyes attempt to remain professional yet cannot fully hide the tremble. A language that can only be understood by those who truly pay attention to the human being in front of them. At that point, the direction of the story changed. It was not the army who dared ask for a photo, but Kim Taehyung who took the first step. He approached, he opened space, and in a very ordinary tone he asked, "May we take a photo together?" The sentence was simple, almost trivial, yet its context made the world fall silent. In the idol-fan relationship that has long felt unbalanced, that gesture subtly but powerfully reversed the structure. One photo was taken, not dramatic, not editorially aesthetic, not designed to go viral. And precisely because of that, the photo exploded. The army's work uniform was still clearly visible, their face plain and almost unbelieving, while Taehyung stood beside them with an expression that was calm, warm, and completely unmanufactured. There was no distance between star and fan, no hierarchy, no sense of superiority. What was visible was simply two humans meeting sincerely. Within hours, the photo spread across the world. Social media timelines across countries were filled with reposts. Fan forums discuss it endlessly, and even the general public who were not army felt an emotion difficult to explain through logic alone. Many were touched, many were moved, but another emotion also quietly emerged. Discomfort. Sharp-toned comments began to appear, not attacking Taehyung, but questioning the reality he revealed without words. Why does humane behavior feel so rare? Why can one photo feel more honest than 1,000 image-building campaigns? Why can other idols not be this simple? Those questions were not mere comments. They were a collective psychological reflection, a mirror forced upon the entertainment industry and upon the way the world treats fame. Without speeches, without statements, Kim Taehyung showed that empathy does not reduce authority, that friendliness does not make someone lose their aura, and that true popularity does not require barriers. And precisely because of that, some people felt disturbed. For ARMY, this moment was not a major surprise. It was a continuation of a pattern that has been visible for years. Various international entertainment media reports, documentation from trusted fan accounts, and direct testimonies from fans in different countries point to one consistent thread. Kim Taehyung always shows up as a human first, and only then as an idol. He does not choose comfortable timing, does not wait for cameras, and does not filter who is worthy of kindness. The impact was real and measurable. In less than 24 hours after the photo went viral, online searches about Kim Taehyung surged significantly, but more surprisingly, searches about the shop where the ARMY worked also increased sharply. A small space that was previously almost unknown suddenly became a global spotlight, without advertising, without endorsements, without marketing strategy. Pop culture analysts describe this phenomenon as a clear example of individual soft power, when one sincere action is able to create tangible social and economic impact. In a world that is increasingly harsh, quick to judge, and full of distance, this story feels like both a slap and a hug. It reminds us that true fame is not measured by how high someone stands, but by how low they are willing to bow to greet others. Kim Taehyung did not lose his aura when he was simple, did not fade when he was kind, and did not shrink when he chose to be fully human. Perhaps that is the answer to why the world keeps returning to his name. Because he is phenomenal yet remains humble. Because he is great yet stays grounded, and because in the middle of an industry that often forgets its essence, he chooses to show up with heart. For ARMY all over the world, that love is not an abstract concept. It is real. One photo in one moment, one small action that shook the world. And now the question returns to all of us. If one sincere gesture can create an impact this great, why are there still public figures who choose to keep their distance? Taehyung lovers all around the world, we have reached the end of the story, but not the end of its meaning, because this story does not stop at one photo, one small shop, or one day in February 2026. This story leaves behind a question that continues to echo in our minds. If one simple action can shake the world, then what is the meaning of fame as we have known it? This is the Taehyung Lovers Worldwide channel, a channel that always stands on the front line spreading the kindness, influence, and peaceful aura of Kim Taehyung to every corner of the world. We do not force anyone to believe, and we do not force anyone to agree. If this content touched your heart, press like. If you have an opinion, even if you disagree, write in the comments, because your voices are the pulse of this channel. Subscribe and activate the notification bell if you want to continue seeing sides of Kim Taehyung that the world rarely talks about. And if not, please skip calmly, because Taehyung lovers never force anyone to stay. But remember one thing before you go. The world did not fall in love with Kim Taehyung because of the spotlight, but because of the way he chooses to be human. See you in the next story, a story that might once again make you stop for 3 seconds and think more deeply.